It's like,
Yeah, we did that before. That's not the fun.
Yep.
You're live now.
At least I'm recording. That's 1 out of 3,000 things that I have to do. All right. Hey, folks, sit back, relax. Get your favorite libation, your favorite snack. The Geocaching Podcast is coming at you right about now.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache, geocache. If you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. I cover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome to the Geocaching Podcast, episode 526, recorded live on February 21st, 2018. I'm your host, Headhardhat with
Scott Burks.
Taz 427 and
Info Ferret.
You can join our chat room and watch our live video stream, plus participate with us as we record this episode. All this and more can be found at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. Be sure to contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. Also find us on Twitter at geocachingpodcast.com/Twitter and Facebook at geocachingpodcast.com/Facebook. This episode is sponsored by our good patrons of the Geocaching Podcast. To become a contributing patron, simply click on our PayPal or Patreon or PayPal logo on our website to help keep our podcast going. From all of us at the Geocaching Podcast, we thank you. Wow, lots of stuff going on this week in the East Coast and the Northeast Coast, depending on where you're at and how much snow you want to get. It is bipolar.
What, you think the Midwest didn't get any snow? Is that what you're telling me?
The Southwest didn't, or Southeast
didn't
didn't.
snow. I sure did.
Huh?
I sure did.
Did you get some snow? How much you get?
Yeah, about a foot, a little over a foot.
Really? A foot?
awesome.
Yeah. It's all gone now. It's been in the 50s and raining for the past 2 days. It's all gone now.
Yeah.
No snow, but we actually managed to get down in the 20s. 28 degrees 2 days straight for the morning lows.
Wow. Yeah, we were actually, it's been bipolar here in North Kakalaki. It would be in the 40s one day. It was 80 today. So it's just been going up and down. So, of course, everybody's getting sick, which is great. But at least the daffodils are actually officially up now. So the tulips are next.
Mm.
Oh, well, we haven't had any snow.
No.
We had a fair bit of wind and rain thanks to ex-tropical cyclone Gita that hammered us over the last couple of days. Wellington seemed to, we seemed to dodge a bullet because the sea came and trashed some of the coastal roads further north of us and hammered the top end of the South Island with big landslips and flooding and roads. A couple of roads closed that'll take a few weeks at least to open. But no, Wellington got off very, very lightly, for which I am very, very grateful.
It always
It's
sounds
a beautiful
like
day today.
Every time you get a cyclone coming through there, I just imagine how much the islands just get sheared off in pure erosion. It's like in another couple of years, there's going to be 2 strips of land and that'll be it, because all the landslides you guys get.
Yeah, that was a baby. That was effectively a category 1 hurricane. I mean, barely a tropical storm. Barely more than a tropical storm.
Hell, they won't even go for bread and milk here for that.
Oh well, you lot are hard. Well, they've had to get the army's been in a couple of places.
Nice.
Out in a couple of places. They were taking Unimogs to get people out of 1 or 2 places where there's been huge landslips.
Unimog?
Yeah, military vehicle.
It's a Unimog?
Is that like a Hummer here?
I never heard of that before. Did I hear that correctly? UNIMOG?
Yeah, I'll just Google it and tell you.
I've never heard of that before. What's a Unimog? Taz, you know what a Unimog is?
It's some New Zealand term for a
range of multi-purpose all-wheel drive medium trucks produced by Daimler and and sold under the brand name Mercedes-Benz in the United States and Canada.
Wait. I could buy it in the States? I could buy a Unimog?
Looking at the pictures, I don't think they have those over here.
I could drive a Humvee around. I can't drive a Unimog around.
Steering wheel's on the wrong side.
Right.
No, the steering wheel's on the right side. It's you guys that are on the wrong side.
Somebody share a screen. Let me see a picture of this Unimog. Somebody share a screen. Does it look like a Humvee, Taz? What does it look like?
It doesn't really look much like a Humvee. It looks like a strange military vehicle.
Really? Wow. I've never heard of that.
So
a Unimog. Okay. Sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we'll investigate some more. I'm sure our European friends will tell us more about it.
I've never heard
Unless it's a Kiwi thing where they just happen to have. It's a thing that they had to get rid of, kind of like an off sale for cars, and they gave.
Ooh, look. I'm not going to make any comments about our military budget.
Part of the fun. But yeah, the weather's been nuts, and I'm very surprised with the highs and the lows, and that we haven't had our tornado season kick off yet, because it's been very, very crazy. I think this spring's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah.
How about you guys, Scott? What you been up to besides a foot of snow?
Well, we got a foot of snow, so Jesse and I went out Saturday night. We went out caching.
All right.
Excuse me. I've had a cough for like 10 weeks now, and we did good. I think we got about 10 or 12. It was a pain because it's snow. There was a lot of snow, but it was fun. And then, of course, now it's all gone because it's been in the 50s 2 days in a row and raining for 48 hours straight. So it's like now it's all the snow's melted, so now everything's flooding. But I guess it could be worse. It could have been snowing for 48 hours straight. So I look at it that way. And, it's been beautiful. It's been the other day was like 62 degrees outside. It was beautiful. It was in February in Chicago. Go figure. Like it's
I know it.
Yeah.
Right now, you guys should be chipping down to the level of where the cars are.
Yeah, it's all myth. It's all myth. Don't believe it.
Cool. Taz, how about yourself, man?
Oh, well, we had some pretty good weather for 2 weeks straight, but I was riding the viral roller coaster, and so I didn't make it outdoors very much. And now all the viral roller coaster is like get off of one virus and then hit another and then hit another.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
You need to change up, Chad, I'm just saying.
That's what happens when you have kids.
I think I'm over it. Yeah, I hope I'm over it. But
so bad
powered and now it's freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and not just my screen.
I want to feel bad for you, but I don't. Sorry.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And then Sarah dodging cyclones.
Oh yeah, that was. Let's say we were lucky. It went north of us. It went south of us, but it was wet. It poured down, but it was not too bad. No, occasion-wise, couple of weeks ago. Not weekend just gone, weekend before, a group of us went up to find a couple of caches that are more or less in the middle of nowhere, up along a ridge. But they lived up to their T4 rating in that it said you start off on a forest track, and that's fine. Then you go on to what they called an indistinct track. There is a track here with a vivid imagination. And there was gorse and cuttygrass. Now, gorse is a sort of spiky bush that goes through sticks through everything. And cuttygrass is sort of like almost like a narrow grassy reed, but its edges are really sharp, and they will cut your fingers if you grab hold of it.
Oh, really?
And that stuff was higher than my head. I mean, I know I'm not exactly tall, but that was.
We don't know how tall are you. I have no idea. You could be 5'10" for all I know.
I wish. No, 5'1" and 5'8".
Oh, you are short. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
that's
all right.
I don't care.
So if you trip in the stuff, can it take out a jugular? I mean,
I think you'd have to be pretty unlucky to do that. Think sort of paper cut.
Okay.
1,000 ways to die.
Right there in the field.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we got up there. We found the caches. We came back. We may or may not have left a couple of caches on the way up, but I've got which we may or may not have written up yet. And most of the rest of the time, there's another puzzle that's come out in Wellington where there's a load of the Wellington Council apprentices each do a small garden, and they put up displays about them. So I've been wandering around trying to find information for those to find the answer to a puzzle cache that's very helpfully been put out.
Very nice.
Fascinating, but there's an error in my calculations somewhere, and I've got to work back through it and work out where on earth am I out on this.
Wow. Well, it sounds like fun, though.
Well, that's fun.
Good
that
stuff.
And half a ton of Aussie puzzles.
Oh, yeah. Well, talk to Chad. He may have worked on a puzzle or two over the past several months.
One or two.
Well,
one or two.
Well, if that Oive one's still up for grabs, somebody's got it, but I'm focusing on one's the other side of the Tasman at the moment.
Wow. Well, good stuff.
With help.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. All right, so moving on, please consider becoming a patron of our show. We would greatly appreciate it. All you have to do is go to geocachingpodcast.com and click on either our PayPal or our Patreon logo. And if you can donate a few bucks to us each month, we'd greatly appreciate it. It helps pay for the hosting and all the other things that deal with podcasting, and it helps keep the lights on. So we really do appreciate it. And for the folks that are doing it, thank you so much. It's greatly, gratefully. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Scott. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
We got the GCPC mailbag. Here we go.
I got mail. Yay! I got mail. Yay!
This one comes from Stephen W54. Stephen. He says, "Hello, gang. This message is for Scott." That's me. Scott, you recently told the story about a police officer pointing a gun at you when you were geocaching in an area known to be frequented by drug dealers. Yes, that's when I was in Chicago years ago. Some web sleuthing revealed that you were on an episode 504 of Podcaster. Yes, it was about 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
During that show, you briefly said that one time several police officers swarmed your car, and another time police asked you to leave the state of Wisconsin. What did you do to stir up such commotion? Haven't I told those stories before on the show?
I think, but it's starting to be legend.
Let me finish this off and I'll tell the story. My only encounter occurred while I was looking for a geocache that was too close to parks a play area for small children. Okay. One of the police officers showed up, knew about geocaching, and a nano is cause for concern. I was allowed to put the cache back, but I was told to leave the park. That cache was archived, and I later recalled that incident when I found another cache in a different part of the same park. Oh, he recalled the incident when he found another cache in the same park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, well, we'll start with first one. Yes, I was personally escorted out of the state of Wisconsin by police officers. Yes, I was. But I was not geocaching. I was in high school. And what happened was that we went up to Wisconsin for our senior ski trip, and I had just turned 18 the day before. Okay. In Wisconsin, it was legal to rent a hotel room when you were 18. So I was the one who had to rent a hotel room for me and my buddies. So we got kicked out of 3 hotels in 2 nights. Okay. Because we were rowdy and being crazy. And finally, at the last hotel, the police came because we were rowdy, and they literally personally escorted us out of the state of Wisconsin. Funny fact of this story is that Sunday, which is when we got driven out, was Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh,
okay.
Geez.
And we were trying to make it to get home to Chicago to watch the Super Bowl. Well, what Taz is thinking? What do you think, Taz?
Trying to think who was playing in 88.
89.
89 in the Super Bowl.
I can't remember. Maybe the Broncos, I think.
And where was that?
I don't know. So we're trying. Obviously, we have to go 55 because we have a cop literally escorting us out of the state. So once we got Illinois, boom, we hit the gas, and we're going 95, 98 miles an hour trying to get home. We get pulled over. We get pulled into the station. We're there till like 8 o'clock at night because my buddy's in jail. He had to bail my buddy out of jail.
Jeez.
That's the story of getting personally escorted. And but the fun fact of this story is I was banned for life from ever running a hotel room in La Crosse, Wisconsin ever again. And that's been 30 years. So Jesse's like, we got to go back to lacrosse.
I was going to say, you got to see what happens.
Will I really get flagged?
That's funny as heck.
Sorry, Mr. Brooks, we can't do it.
I'm sorry, we can't help you, sir.
Yep, banned for life.
Wow.
The second story is the most infamous story of my legend is the when I was driving on the bike path. Me and a friend at the time were in Wisconsin. We're going to get some. It was really cold day. It was about 10 degrees. It was winter, and we're going on a bike path. We drove to a bike path to walk down it, and we get out of the car, and the first one's like 100 feet away. And as we're walking, we're like, it's really cold. It's colder than I thought it was. And then I'm like, this bike path is pretty big. Got a lot of width to it. I know where bike packs are. Bike pack.
Yeah,
this was like a big, wide bike path.
Yeah.
They're like, you think we can fit a car on this bike path? I think I can get a car on this bike path. So we ran back to the car. It's wintertime. Nobody's running. Well, it turns out we saw 3 runners driving by us looking at us like crazy. We literally would like put our hands out of the car and get the cash from the tree while we were still in the car, sitting in the car. We could reach out. What happened was somebody called the cops.
Oh, wow.
So when we saw up ahead of us a cop, like looking for us. So we quickly hightailed it off the trail.
Uh-huh.
And we went and had lunch. And then we were stupid and said, all right, they're gone. Let's go back on the trail. So we get back on the trail to finish it off. And there was one cache, not part of the series, about 250 feet into the woods. My buddy's like, I'm going to go get it. Stay in the car. I'm going to go get it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm sitting in the car. He's off. And all of a sudden, it was like the end of vacation, where they all swarm. These cops just came literally out of nowhere, just right on top of my car. And I'm like, oh, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just geocaching. They're like, you can't be on this road. I'm like, you can't be on this path. I'm like, this isn't a road. Like, no, it's not a road. It looks like there's no sign that says I can't drive on this. I totally played the stupid card. And
playing dumb works occasionally.
Yeah.
So I had to call my buddy. No, I didn't call. I texted my buddy. I'm like, get back here. He's like, I'm almost done. I'm like, no. So yeah. So they kicked us out.
Wow.
So, yeah. They didn't ticket me. They didn't have a ticket for what I was doing. There was no law. Apparently, no law against driving on the.
There probably is now, but
I don't know. But there was. He's like, I don't even know what to write you up for. So get out of here.
It's Scott Burks. Do not drive on a bike path.
Yes.
That's when I learned that. I mean, I've done it many times since then, but that was the first time I ever did it. That was
yeah.
So,
I would say that would be a not common thing for geocachers, but I'm pretty sure Colin French mentioned taking his car on a couple of trails.
Dude, it's so much easier. It's the best. I once literally got my Mini Cooper stuck. I was by myself on a bike trail, and I got stuck in snow and ice.
Oh, no.
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
30 minutes of rocking my car back and forth. What am I going to do? Get a tow truck? Tow truck's not going to come tow me out of there.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the story there, Stephen. There you
go. That'll be part of the Scott Burks legend that goes into
that took place
history.
in 2000. That was in 2010. You want to go old school, man? That was 2010.
Wow.
Amazingly. Yeah. It was like 8 years ago.
Yeah,
that's my story. There you go, Stephen.
Excellent stuff. Well, good stuff, and thank you, Stephen, for writing in about that. And if you find folks have other questions that you want to ask that any of us have done as far as geocaching, write into GCPC mailbag at gmail.com, and we'll be glad to put it on the show just like that one. Good stuff. All right, Chad, you all set? This was pretty easy. Yeah, it's a self-promotion for Joshua. But let's hit this. There it is.
The news.
So looks like Joshua Johnson, aka the geocaching blogger, made it in the Star Tribune, which is a newspaper in the Minnesota area.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's Minneapolis. I'm not sure exactly, but I don't get it personally. So they don't ship it down to me, unfortunately. So Joshua Johnson acknowledges, get back to the beginning. So It titles Minnesotan builds a rabid following in the geocaching world. So
foaming at the mouth, or
really rabid?
Rabid.
That sounds like a lynch mob.
Everyone up there is rabid. So.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Actually, in the picture that he's in is actually in Seattle. It's at the troll cache. Yeah, under the bridge. So I recognize that location.
Look at you knowing where he is. Look at you.
Chad's been everywhere. Chad. You make it to Brazil, you pretty much know everything.
Exactly. So, except for New Zealand. I haven't been to New Zealand yet. I got to make it down there. Joshua Johnson celebrates celebrity grows in pursuit of hidden caches. So Joshua acknowledges he didn't grow up in an outdoorsy family. His parents' work weekends and activities such as camping and hiking simply weren't part of the program. Joshua, who's 40 years old now, said he spent more time staring at the screens of his Atari and Nintendo than he did roaming the woods or wading through waters of nearby lakes. But in addition to the video games, he was also a fan of a popular film about a bunch of kids who encountered all sorts of obstacles in search of hidden treasures. You know what it is if you lived in the 80s. It was the Goonies.
Yeah. Goonies, yeah.
You lived in the...
Yeah. So
the only thing I'm taking out of this article is that Josh was 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
But it kind of gives the background though that he really wasn't an outdoorsy kid, but like the Goonies, like the idea of treasure hunting.
He liked pulling coins out of fountains for money.
And he kind of heard about geocaching, and was like, well, this is a cool idea. And, started doing it for a while, and then after a few years, he started making the videos and gathered a pretty healthy cult following, probably the biggest following on YouTube for geocaching.
Absolutely.
His videos have been viewed more than over 7 million times. So
yeah,
that's pretty healthy. That's a few more than ours.
Yeah, I have to admit, he even back in my days when I was doing videos, and he started getting onto the scene. Joshua is he's an entertainer. He is he just has his own style when it comes to it. He's got energy that the man's got to be on drugs.
It's ridiculous.
There is no other explanation than some kind of super science drug that keeps his energy level going, because he is constantly. I've met up with him. He's a good friend. He's just
he's
a great guy.
Joshua. I'm friends with Joshua. I talked to Joshua. I've had dinner with Joshua, and he's on all the time.
All the time. He does not shut down. We ate one time when I forget where we were at. I think it was one of the Mogas when, I had to take him in, of course, for Minnesota and a guy from Michigan. First thing we hit was White Castle to gross out our wives and go there. We just had a riot, and he's just boom, 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 boom.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He's a great guy, though. Man, he loves his kids. He loves working with kids, and he's just one of those people that he's just gonna go far, and he has, and
gotta be in front of the camera.
Yep, gotta be in front of the camera. Gotta go.
Meant to be.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It is awesome. So, congrats, Josh, for all of that. That's amazing. And if you want to read the article, we will have that in our show notes. Just go to geocachingpodcast.com tonight after we publish, and you can read up all the things about Joshua, the geocaching vlogger.
Yeah,
a free plug for Joshua.
Yeah, I saw that. And, the kicker is in the older days, you would see newspapers. I mean, Scott and I have both been in like the New York Times and other things. Wall Street Journal and just different newspapers, and it used to be happening quite a bit. So it does not seem to happen as much anymore. So when one of the celebs hits the things, it's always good to give a good push for them.
We've got a couple of vloggers down our side of the planet. There's See My Shells and Ozzy, who's helping organise the Aussie Geo Muster at Easter, and he puts a few out, and Mr. Cuddly Brick puts the odd one out as well.
Very nice.
Mr. Cuddly Brick?
Yeah, Mr. Cuddly Brick's Geocaching Adventures.
And that's with a B. So
yes, definitely.
It was with a B. Oh.
Anyway. But I've got
Couldn't help
two
myself.
I've got two bits of news that aren't on the obviously geocaching relevant, but they are. Now, the first one is the Department of Conservation that manages our sort of parks estate is taking away a shelter called Dome Shed, which on the slopes of Mount Ruapehu, which is the highest mountain in the North Island. Now, this shelter's old, past its best, and so they're taking it away. But the reason it's geocaching relevant is it was the location for New Zealand's highest geocache, which was called Santa's Surprise, because it was hidden around the chimney. But so with the hut gone, the cache is currently disabled, and I have a feeling it might well be archived, given there's no hut to put it in. But that's wait and see. So, and the other one is sort of wider. There's a disease called kauri dieback. Kauri is a big, huge tree, sort of probably our equivalent of giant redwoods. And there's a disease called kauri dieback that's affecting them. And to try and limit the spread of that, the local iwi, local tribes, have put a rahui or ban on access to the areas with kauri. And Auckland City Council has just reinforced and they're going to ratify that ban. I think it's from May that comes in, but that limits access to quite a large area of the forests north of Auckland. So,
and they're saying no access then. There's nobody can get in there.
Depends quite where it is. It's not my area of New Zealand, so I haven't followed it in huge detail, but it is closing off quite large areas. And some of the owners of some of the more historic caches have disabled their caches, or in some cases got permission to go in and remove them, just so that there's no temptation for anybody else to go and find them.
Yeah. And
we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
When it comes to a situation like that, where something as serious as that is involved, I had no problem with that. I mean, protect the trees. I mean, we can find geocaches to go someplace else in a case like that, where, and you get that in a lot of state parks here in the States. Same thing. There's areas that they'd love to have you have geocaches, but there's other ones they just don't want people tramping through it. Sensitive areas, I guess is the way you want to put it.
Yeah, geotrail's going to happen. You can't help it. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a sort of, and the roots of a kauri tree and also the boardwalk to get to one is the ideal place to hide a cache, but you don't want to encourage people going there when you don't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're my two little snippets from New Zealand.
Excellent. All right. Protect it the best you can. I mean, we don't have the right to come in and just smash things up. And unfortunately, not all geocachers are as sympathetic to the areas of which they patrol. So, if they got to do measures to protect stuff like that, go for it. All right, let's move on. We got the GCPC episode 526. Last week we did tools of the trade. This week we're going through geocaching tricks of the trade. And the idea was for this is to not necessarily go over just certain, tools or things that you use to find a geocache, but just different things to make geocaching easier for you. And I thought this would be a good thing. Scott actually brought up the suggestion for it. So thank you, Scott. I'm just going to open up with the first one, and then we can just go gangbusters on anyone. We've got a whole list here of things to talk over. One of the things people go, well, why do you want to pay $30 a year to be a premium member for geocaching? And the pay for the admission ticket is pocket queries. That makes it worth every penny, as far as I'm concerned, for what it is that you do for a geocacher. And if you don't use them, you are not utilizing things like you should when it comes to geocaching. Pocket queries are the absolute best way, especially if you're going areas out of your normal scope of things to choose what geocaches you want to go through and pick out. And I'll add to the pocket queries using something like GSAC if you can, or a tool like GSAC. To store all this stuff and to query it and sort the way that you want for those,
and gather multiple pocket queries into one great database. You can build multiple databases within GSAC itself. So when I build pocket queries for an area, I start in a central location and do a certain radius that I consider good. And then I do it kind of in date ranges in there. So one of the options you can do is in date ranges. And then I start building up maybe 7 to 10 pocket queries of those date ranges, because you're limited to only 1,000 caches per pocket query. And so you keep it under that 1,000. You can build up multiple of those, get them all downloaded, and then put those into GSAC, and you have every single cache within that radius.
Yeah, because you can overlap it and you wouldn't even know.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
I find them really useful for if I'm working on a challenge, just trying to see, right, I'm here, running a query to find what caches are that will fit whatever challenge I'm working on that I have.
Yep.
And that spits those up.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse, I think last night or night before last, we're sitting on the couch and I look over at Jesse on the laptop. She's running a pocket query because we're going to Minnesota next month.
Yep.
He's running a pocket query of where we're going to be and, what's around there. And I think high favorite points is high favorites and virtuals and stuff like that. And
yeah, one of the things
last night or night before.
Yeah, with GSAC, one of the things that I love is you can remove anything that's archived, which you can do with a pocket query anyways, but it removes all the archived ones that you have record to. You can just take them out of the query just by eliminating them with a click. But also a lot of them where if the geocache hasn't been found in how many tries out of the past 4 were successful or unsuccessful, that kind of thing, you can really have a better odds, especially if you're going in an area that you've never been before. You want to hit the ones with the best chance of finding them and not getting DNFs. And that's a great way for setting that up as well.
Yeah.
Let's see, the other one too that kind of goes with that, and then we'll jump to Project GC. Caching by route is awesome. That's one of the things. Now, I like using it. Unfortunately, one of the things that happens to me the most times is I will use that. And caching by route means you literally say, I'm starting from this point, going to this point, and then every geocache within anything from half a mile to any amount of distance out will show up in that route as it plans it from point A to point B. The problem with that is most cases I never follow the route that I originally was going to plan. I'm off going here. Oh, wait, this is over here. And then I'm never on the same route. So.
Yeah, I've been all of a sudden, hang on, there's no caches around me. Why aren't there any caches around me? I've been working in offline mode, and it's like, oh, I want a different route than my caching by route method took me.
Yep, it happens, and thank goodness nowadays that you're able to still find geocaches easier. But one of the things that would drive you nuts on my my auto GPS is that every time you got within a certain short distance of a cache, it would ding. So if you're on an 800-mile trip, that's a lot of dings.
Yeah, buddy Walt had that. I mean, I'd be in his car and I hear his ding, ding, ding,
and then it's why aren't we going for it? Because one of the
or it's like not the bloody cache. Why do you stop? Yeah. It depends whether you've got the muggles in the car or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen to that.
And that's when a 12-hour ride turns into an 18-hour ride because of all those times you stop.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's already making a stop a couple times on the way to Minnesota. She's like, that's right off the road. Right off the road.
Yeah. How about Project GC? That's another one that's really got so many different advantages when it comes to just about anything you want to know about, any kind of stats or any kind of things that deal with anything with geocaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jessie swears by it. She's actually a paid member for that. I think.
I think I just got a notice to renew mine.
Yeah, I don't, but she uses it all. But she's the one who does all the route planning and all that crap. So like,
yeah,
Well,
I'm considering going back to being a paid member. So
yeah.
it's like one of those ones where it's like, yeah, it's great when you use it, and then you don't use it for a while. It's like, well, why am I still paying for this?
Yeah.
Well, I find
she got like the free. She got free for like 3 months or something like that, and that they sucked her in, and now she's like, I have to pay for this. I can't go back.
Well, free's quite. I think even on the free one, it's really useful if you're going to go somewhere you're not normally. Say for you guys, a different state or a different area. Or you can look, and one of the first things I do is see, are there any DT ones I haven't got, or are there any unfound dates I've not got, or even hidden dates, and that's quite. It pops up with the ones that are the gaps that you have, which is really useful for just thinking, is it worth heading out that way because there's that one which will fill my Jasma grid if I can get it, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But the really useful thing for me is map compare on it.
And if you got another cacher with you.
Yeah. It color code, and you pick an area and it color codes who's found, whether neither of you have found it, or one of you's found it, or both of you, and you can add more people. And that's just really useful for working out what sort of areas are you going to target in an afternoon or a day to get the most benefit for everybody there.
Yeah, because a lot of times geocachers go with a carload of them, and away you go.
Oh yeah,
neat stuff. So some of the stuff that we also thought would be interesting to talk about, that if you haven't had this set up, I don't know how you can survive being a geocacher. But first, define preparedness. One of the first things that I remember setting up when I first got into geocaching was I had like 3 different kind of notifications. I would get emails, I get text, I get other things. So what that means is, for anything that you could do for a pocket query, you can set that up, and you can set it up for when a geocache is first published. And when that goes, you go ding, and you look at it, and you don't care that it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Somehow you got to come up with a quick excuse to go for that geocache that's 3.5 miles around, because you want to be a first to find hound. And they still have it. It's pretty much the same thing. You can set up text. You can set up.
Doing it for 10 years. I've been doing the same thing.
Yeah. Heck, we've had it during the show.
What?
We've had it during the show.
I've left the show to go to it.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is about 8 years ago, I'm back to where I was living. I'm talking about the same neighborhood, same area. And when I was out in Elgin, 35 miles away, they rarely came out. And if they did, I pretty much got them because not that many cached out there. But now here it's in 2008 or 2010 here, I could literally, my email could go off. I could have dinner and relax a little bit and still go get it. Now, if the key now here, I tell Jesse this all the time. I was like, if it comes in, if you don't leave right now, if you hesitate, forget it. You're gone. You missed it. You have to literally leave right now.
Yeah.
Go right now. You have to grab your keys and run out the door.
The only ones I have a chance at getting is if a puzzle happens to pop in my area of town. Because if it's a traditional, forget it. GBs or one of the cachers around here, they're like they're on it so quick. It's like I can't do that.
Yeah, we had it pretty heavy here for quite a few years. I think it's kind of slowed down a bit.
Really?
But yeah, it's one of those things where you would, if you did it right, you would wave goodbye as you saw the other 2 ones that are trying for it as you've already leaving and go that way. That's a lot of fun. There's many a time that I have met up pitch black outside, 5:30 in the morning, 3 people out there from different directions coming with flashlights, and just meeting up. And a lot of times I've had most of my co-FTFs in those situations.
Sure. It's called an FTF party. That's when
the flash mob.
Yeah, kind of.
Chat for half an hour and then you go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. parties.
Yeah, so you got to have that set up. Make sure you go on, and if you don't have it set up,
especially when you go to an event, make sure your phone's on. I see people sneaking away from events all the time. I'm like, where the hell are they going? I look at my phone. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's too much. It really is. Good stuff. Some forethought into, and actually that's one of the points to this, hiding a geocache the right way. If you were going to go and tell somebody that's never hidden a geocache before, what's the right way to go out and actually hide a geocache? Because most people
drive down the road, roll down your window, and throw it out
the side. I've actually seen YouTubes of people doing that. It's like, oh,
I would tell them, stop hiding and start finding.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not helping anybody.
Yeah, you're not doing anyone any favors. Learn how to find first, then learn how to hide.
Learn how to find. Learn how inaccurate your GPS is when you first start it. Learn how to use some basic tool apps like a GPS averaging tool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but
also, get burnt out on LPCs.
So you don't put any.
Hide a woodsy hide is what I tell them. Don't hide. Don't hide a LPC. Hide it in the woods, and don't put a freaking micro.
Hide a micro in the woods for Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. Micro.
If I ever move to Chicago, I'm going to put out a series of a micro in the woods for Scott.
That's insane.
Yeah. I was going to say, go out if you can. Team up with an experienced cacher for even just an afternoon. Go around with them. You'll find out you'll learn far more about spotting them, hiding them, what makes a good hide, what doesn't, and then you'll have a really good idea of things to look for.
Yeah, I think like I said in the beginning of this, forethought is a good concept. If you sit there and go, this is a great place to hide a geocache. This is something that is not going to easily get muggled. This is something that I may have to do some camouflaging to put it in correctly so people don't find it unexpectedly and have problems with that. I might want to put a little forethought and effort into actually creating the hide instead of just putting a bison tube. Like Scott said, put something good out in the woods.
Yeah.
Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than to walk out in the middle of God's country and find some creative hide where somebody took the time to, make a gnome home or,
but that can be a freaking ammo can. If you're going to make me walk a mile in the woods, give me a goddamn ammo can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's just.
This is one of the reasons, again, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Andy.
No, that's right. Go ahead.
Oh, where like I'm a firm believer in the Padawan mentor, relationship with geocaching. I had mine was I See It, and Jesse was mine, Cody Dog was mine, and I See It taught me so much about, and it's funny because I asked Jesse, I'm like, what did I teach you when you first started? Like, tell me what I taught you, because I could write this down here for know, and some of it is here. And but I've been taught me a crap ton, how to spot poison ivy, how to find a trail in the woods, all this stuff, how to do. And one of the things what's great about is there's a lot of places here in Chicago, we call them dead zones, where it's like a cache just cannot stay there. I found 4 caches in the same spot, so it's good to know, like, hey, if you see a great spot, you might want to ask a cacher who's been around well, like, has there ever been a cacher before? Like, why is there no cache here?
Yeah.
And they might be like, oh, it's a total dead zone. Like caches don't stay there. They just, for some reason,
if one pops up, get there within 2 weeks or it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple like that, a couple of locations like that around us that you see them pop up and you find them. But yeah, I agree with you. There are a couple of people that I went caching with, and I've learned truckloads from them. I'm not going to mention names because I generally try not to, but they know who they are, and thank you. And if there's anybody going to the Aussie Geo Muster that fancies teaming up with a Kiwi and showing them where the nasty snakes are, so I don't have to be there, and all the venomous spiders and everything else that's lurking there, just waiting to kill me, I'd quite happily get I'd quite happily team up and get back out alive.
That's just getting off the plane. So,
that's dinner. Dinner is spices.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I said, I think they still haven't found signal yet. He got off in Australia and gone.
They mistook him for a cane toad and ran him over.
Croc ate him on the tarp.
Talking of which, has anybody any idea what that email that's popped up from Groundspeak, if it's only X days, X hours, and X seconds sort of something happens?
Jesse and I were just talking about that over dinner. She's like, "Did you see that email we got?" I'm like, "I don't care. I'm not going to speculate. It's something." Our guess is Mary Hyde, kind of a Mary Hyde, some friend thing.
Mid-March sort of thing, isn't it?
That's my guess.
Yeah, we'll have to see when it comes.
I mean, what could it possibly be?
Or if that got filtered. I wonder if that got filtered. I don't see it.
If it's another,
it wasn't today. It was like yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's another way for them to test their algorithm. So it's
maybe they only send to a certain number of people.
Could be.
Yeah, could be.
I'm not special enough.
The chosen one.
Sorry.
I don't think I got it. Jesse, I heard about it from Joshua, I think, and then Jesse got it. I don't even think I got it.
I got one. I thought
I
was like Scott. I was doing something else and just kind of flew over it. So, but anyways, yeah, we'll have to see. Interesting stuff. Back on track with this. Other things to go through. Yeah, I think the mentoring thing is absolutely something that's important for teaching other people, because I remember when I first started going out geocaching, I had no point of reference. I had no idea the different ways that a geocache could be hid. And I thought, okay, well, this one was in a tree. What do you mean this one's in this sewer covered thing? I mean, it's good to show a variety so people get a good idea of what it is before you actually
God, yeah. I learned so much from from Ivan, my buddies. We're still friends today.
Yeah.
He taught me so much about this game,
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go to local events, find some people. You'll find someone that will take you under the wing, and that's exactly the process that I went through. Actually, first was I sent an email to a puzzle cache owner. Imagine that, asking him about a specific thing, and he actually suggested that I join an event, and I was probably 15, 20 puzzles or 15, 20 caches in at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll go to one. And then at cache number 50 was my first event. So
look at you. Nice.
Yep, best way to go. Good way of meeting people. A lot of networking when it comes to stuff like that. And you will be surprised how many different varieties of folks you've got. CEOs to Joe the plumber to you name it.
I've always said it's the only time you'll see like a brain doctor and a garbage man talking to each other. And laughing with each other.
Yeah,
having anything in common with each other.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I've and the funny part, I've literally seen that happen. I know a brain doctor and I know a garbage man, and I saw them talking and laughing together.
For crying out loud, I know an astronaut and an astrophysicist that I constantly discuss things with, and it's a riot because otherwise I never would have met these people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. One of the things that I put down here was find your geocaching niche, which means what is your favorite thing you like to go out for geocaching, and then do the exact opposite. Try something else. And
you want me to go look for LPCs?
Yeah.
No, Taz, I want you to do multis.
Not with a flamethrower.
Multis, okay.
Yeah. That's it. But it's amazing. You have such a variety that you can do with geocaching. I mean, literally, there's just about everything you can think about when it comes to outdoor activities with geocaching. And there's stuff you're going to just love to do. But if you start getting the slightest bit of the, I don't know if I want to do that today, try one of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best experiences, or some of the best experiences I've had, are the ones that I do the least, and that's like earth caches, things like that. And I just go out and see this stuff and had no idea it was even there, let alone the different things that are involved with it. So there's just a billion different things that you can do with it.
Yeah,
I love
I
definitely.
definitely,
I just don't like the homework afterwards.
I definitely try to get a variety in, including multis, even though multis are probably my least favorite.
Yep.
Multis are best.
Yeah. See, everybody's got their own thing. It's one of those things.
Well,
I
the
like
problem with multis is that I will inevitably get to a stage and a stage is missing.
Yeah.
You know, and it drives me batty.
That's because people don't hunt them. If people hunted them, the stages would be there.
It's just that the states don't do it. But if you go to Ireland and some in Germany and some of these other countries, they live them. That's all they do.
Amsterdam, it's all like multis. It's all multis.
I love multis, but they're not sort of Muggle family friendly. So they can the rest of the time you can sort of understand. Hey, you want to look at that memorial and count how many people called Jones are on it? Okay, we'll have a cup of coffee while you do that. We'll tolerate that. What you mean? You want us to drive another half mile in a completely the opposite direction?
Yeah, it's not family friendly.
Right.
So I'm slowly building up a list of multis where I've got where I've solved them. I just haven't gone and got them, so they're there whenever I come back.
Right.
But that could be 2 years down the line, by which time it's probably been archived.
They'll be there. No,
And I have solved a number of them with Google Street View.
Oh, really? Nice.
There's a way to do it. So that's for all the signs that people need to go to read for stuff like that.
Those are the best ones. Those don't go anywhere. Those, the monuments and stuff like that, those don't move. So
yeah, if you can get pictures on the internet and Google Street View, I mean, a lot of those can be solved.
Some folks are a little more ingenious than others when it comes to problem solving. I have to admit, though, a lot of times with multis, as long as if they're going to tell me that there's a long distance, then I can prepare that there's a long distance that's going to be involved with it. I love that they have it right in the description. It's the anticipation of getting, if it's like a 2 or a 3 stage or even a 4 stage, something like that. It's the anticipation. What's going to be the next thing? What's going to go on? Because there have been some really creative ones.
Oh, I found phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I have enjoyed the ones that I've successfully done.
Yeah. Or you just do like Scott and just force your way through and figure it out.
It drives me insane when I see puzzles that are multis, and I'm like, no, this is a multi. It's not a puzzle. It's not it's not a puzzle.
Yeah, it's a great idea. My pet nemesis are Wherigos. I love them in theory. I think they're really great. They're really creative. But why on earth does my phone always crap out on them?
You can't do it on a phone. You got to do it on a Garmin or something like that.
I've had great luck in recent years using the Where You Go app on Android. Thank you very much.
The hell's an Android?
I forgot you're one of those iBrick people.
Oh yeah.
So in the early days, I would have them crashing all the time. I would say in the past 2-3 years, I haven't had it crash once.
Huh?
Really?
So.
That's good.
I was once out with 6 people. We were doing a Wherigo. We were down to 1 person with it still working.
That's the way you used to do it. Basically, everyone got their units out and they started going, and hopefully one of you still was working at the end.
You mean one of you had the functioning equipment?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. So that's another trick for Where I Goes. That's a good thing.
Everybody has to download it and open it.
Exactly.
That's the rule.
Yeah, but the other thing too, go try stuff that you haven't done in a while. Good stuff.
Sure.
Mentoring the stuff, hard to see hides. Use your phone camera as a mirror. I just have mirrors. That helps out a lot. But I have occasionally reached up to an area that was questionable and go out and
my phone first all the time.
Take a picture.
Absolutely.
I never had anything looking back when I did that, but I always expected it.
I've had sort of that once. Nothing as nasty as you guys would encounter, but went out, found it's final for a challenge cache. It was a big stump that was hollow in the middle. And I went and I looked down and I couldn't see this thing. And then I looked right down at the bottom and I saw a mouse. I thought, oh, cool. It's in a plastic mouse. It's going to be a bit of a bitch to reach. And then then it ran away.
Like, oh, that wasn't a plastic one.
I'll tell you this one real quick.
I was looking at a tree knot and went nose to nose with a mouse once. I looked and we're there. We're like looking right at each other, dead stare.
Yeah, I was underneath a bridge here in North Carolina, and same kind of thing. I looked down, and you know the big plastic spiders that are about yay big.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
The interesting colors. This one actually had underneath the abdomen about the size of about a half-ounce lead sinker, literally underneath it. I'm like, that has got to be it because it's got a lead sinker to keep it in place. I got my camera, took a picture of it. Unfortunately, it turned out blurry. Then it moved.
It's like, thankfully I didn't grab that.
I would have been halfway back to the car.
God. But yeah, the only other one that I found interesting was Main Gray, which is one of the geocachers here in North Carolina. He was in a crouched position, and his junk was nose to nose with a copperhead. And they actually managed to get a picture of this.
Oh my god!
And he just kind of slowly backed up.
I literally would have been crying.
Oh yeah, I would have fell back and just wanted to die. But yeah, that's some things you just don't want to deal with.
Yeah, so one time out there caching in Palmettos, and this is one of the reasons I say, definitely Palmettos. That's one thing in the South. You want to use a stick or something, lift it. I had my hiking pole, lifted it up. Coppermouth coiled up there, ready to strike. It's like gently let it slide back down, backed away. It's like, we're skipping this one today.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man. Poke it with a stick. Yeah. But so there's definitely close counters that you need to be aware of when you're out geocaching. Sure. This has got to be Scott that put this in.
This is me. Yeah.
Go for it, Scott.
Different kind of I actually recently heard about this. Like a bush hide, like a regular, thank you, Andy. I knew that was good.
You're welcome.
Another one. You could use I like to use a flashlight to try and illuminate the cache in the bush. But the other thing you do, and I've heard people doing this, use a metal detector.
I know several geocachers that do that.
I prefer
brambles.
They're taught that's in their car. A tot in their car is a metal detector.
Yep.
I prefer some charcoal lighter fluid starter and no, you can't do that. But sometimes I have wanted to. Bush hides are evil.
Yes,
I had one. It was called Greenwood Park. It was years and years ago when I first started. I must have been back there 6 goddamn times. This thing, I could not find it. I mean, literally, I would dive in to the bushes. Like it was like big bushy bushes. And I just couldn't come up with it. It drove me crazy.
Oh, you can go back several times, and then the last time you go back, and it's like
right there,
practically smacking you in the face. It's like, I am so obvious,
waving at you.
And it's worse. You log on a DNF, then a day later somebody finds it. You're like, you gotta be kidding me! It's not there. Yes. It is not there.
And it's a person with about 6 finds for their name. Yes. They put quick, easy find.
Or like the owner put the note, yep, it's there.
Oh, jeez. The other thing that you want to consider if you're looking for a bison tube is shake the tree.
Shake the tree,
shake the tree because that.
You get the glint of a light hitting it just right, or the movement because it doesn't move the same way as the leaves and limbs.
That's why I like to use a flashlight. I use a flashlight a lot. I stick my head in there and get a flashlight in there with me, and usually I get.
Yeah, I had that in an absolute FU hide a couple of months back, and the way it was set up and described, there was a park bench and on a concrete sort of base, and we're looking around under the park bench, seeing is there a little bit of a lip under the concrete this damn thing could possibly be hidden at. And eventually we resorted to phone a friend on it, and the damn thing was high. There was a tree about 10 feet from this bench, so within the coordinates, and it was a bison tube hung up in the tree.
Oh yeah.
And you only saw it by sort of almost lying under it and looking up.
One of the best FU hides that we have out here that we love doing is because we're in pine tree country. So what you do is you get a 13, 14-foot sapling that you can bend. You can literally bend over.
Oh yeah, bring it all
put it over and then tie it to the top of it and have it
let
go.
it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was. I remember finding one in Houston that way, and it was in the hint. It was this geocacher's name type of hide, and it's like, I don't know this geocacher. I'm about 60 miles north of my normal caching location in the north end of Houston, and so I phoned a friend, and it's like, what does this mean? It's like, oh, it means on the top of the tree. But that you got to bend over, and at the point I'm down in the creek standing in sand, and all of a sudden the fire ants did their synchronous bite, and I had about 20 fire ants biting me. It's like, gotta go, Donna. Fire ants are biting me.
Jeez. Yeah, you get South Carolina, Georgia. I'll tell you what, man. You don't. Amy did a boogie shuffle one time. We were on the way going to an event, and you don't want to mess with fire ants.
I don't miss fire ants.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay.
Rock hides.
Yes.
Different kind, like in a whole slew of rocks. Again, I like to use a flashlight to illuminate the cache. There's many times I never would have found it if I didn't have my flashlight with me.
So, are you actually getting it on the cache itself, or you got a fake rock?
No, the cache is hidden in rocks.
Oh, hidden in rocks.
Oh, hidden in rocks. Okay. So here in California, a rock cache, they quite literally usually taken a 10-pound river rock, took it home, drilled it out, and glued in one and put it in there. And it's in the field of river rocks. I found probably 20 of those types of finds out here in California. It's like, are you kidding me? I gotta turn over how many of these damn things to find it?
Yeah. Here we get them, but we're a little more gracious to the geocaching hunter. A lot of times you'll be in a rock pile or something like that, and it's usually the rock that's covering like a little cave, and you can kind of see that there's just enough of a difference that you can go with that, or the rock itself is a little bit different. But you get quite often a few ones too.
Yeah, we get people who've gone off probably to Lake Taupo and picked up pumice stone, and you can pick up huge bits of that and chip out a hiding place for a cache, and then put that in a rock field.
Yeah.
So it's those that know what they're looking for know what can find them. But
yeah, we got it where it's here. It's when you go to like Lake Michigan or either most of the smaller lakes around here, you've got rock piles surrounding the lake. Except for the beaches.
Yep.
Where it's huge rock piles, and people just jam caches in there. And it's dark. It's really hard to see them because it's dark. So a flashlight totally just gives it away. It's really easy to spot with a flashlight.
Yeah, you got to be careful here in North Carolina with rock hides because you got slim no shoulders that just love rocks as well because they generate heat, and snakes love hiding and stuff like that. So you really got to be careful when you're doing stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
All right, good stuff. Excellent. Guys, got anything else?
The old infamous pine tree hides.
Yes.
These are my tricks here. I'm gonna give you my tricks to the pine tree.
Go for
it. One thing that somebody taught me that totally worked. This is gonna sound really, really weird, but to look through the tree. Don't look for the cache. Look through the tree. This guy, he's like, and he was so funny because I'm looking for it. And he's sitting there going, look through the tree.
That sounds like a Jedi mind trick.
Look, and you know what? There it was. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. He's like, yeah, you have to look at it like
you're not focused on something.
Yeah, right. At the paintings, like those paintings, how you see the picture within the picture. Look at it like that. Look through the tree.
Magic eye.
Yeah, totally works too. Another way, if I still can't find it, I will literally get on my back, scoot under the tree, and look up. That's always a dig too. I usually find it that way as well. By doing that totally works. But if you can't do that at night, at night, again, flashlight, look for the zip tie. Usually, if it's zip tied.
Those also work for pine cone type hides as well, because what gives it away is usually the thread or the zip tie or whatever they're using strapping it to the branch.
And the other thing to do, and it's going to sound so dumb and so basic, is if in doubt, step back, sit down and, especially if it's an older cache, sit down and read through all the logs, reread the logs and see if anything in there just jogs memory. I had that for one this weekend, and it was an absolute pig of a. The hint was something like near a small dead tree, and there was one obvious one, and it wasn't there. And it was sort of climb up a bank that was taller than me, go along through some bush. No, wasn't there. Couldn't find the damn thing. Came down an even more steep bit of the earth bank, much to the laughter of a couple of muggles that were coming along the path. And then I explained geocaching and said, "Oh, one of my friends does that. They're mad." I said, "Goes with the territory." And then I sat down and I looked at, and I reread about 30 logs on it, and something just clicked. And once I'd spotted something that somebody else mentioned, I finally managed to find the thing, but it took me about 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Or you find the 3 or 4 posts that says the coordinates were off by 30 feet to the south. It's like, okay, so here over there. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Read the logs. Definitely.
When in doubt, read the logs. Absolutely. When in doubt, read the logs.
Good stuff. Absolutely. All right. Good stuff. And if you've got different types of suggestions for your tricks of the trade, by all means, send it in to go to our website at geocachingpodcast.com and send it in to us, and we'll put it into our next version that we have down the road. Okay, I want to say thank you to Chad and Sarah and Scott for all the things that they do. And thank you, fine folks, for stopping on by. We greatly do appreciate it. Let's see. I think that's about it. Sarah, do you have anything else that you had?
Not really, no. You've I've picked up a couple of ideas out of this one, so thank you.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Let me end this. I want to give a plug real quick.
Yeah.
Most people know me, and a lot of people. Jessie, my girlfriend, Shortiness, she's a caching name. She just she started a geocaching blog, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Ooh. So if you want to follow her, just go to shortinits.com. That's shorty, then KNITS.com. And she's got a geocaching blog there.
All right, we'll put it in the show notes. Good stuff.
Yeah, so go follow her.
Excellent. Yeah, the more information out there, the better. So good for her.
Absolutely.
Way to go.
She's did a whole winter a whole post on winter caching. So
excellent.
Go read it.
Excellent. Good stuff. Be sure to check that out. All right, folks. Good stuff. Thank you for stopping on by. We greatly do appreciate it. And we will see you next week on the Geocaching Podcast. See you, folks. Please be sure to join us each and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of the Geocaching Podcast, right here on the Geocaching Podcast website at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. The video version of our show is available on YouTube, and the audio version is available on our home website, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and on many of your favorite podcatchers. We love hearing from our viewers and listeners, so please visit us through our social media sites or contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. The Geocaching Podcast is a Headhardhat production and is produced by Andy Smith, Scott Burks, Chad Courtney, and Sarah T.S. The show is copyright 2018 by Andrew T. Smith. All rights reserved. And clear. All right, folks, thank you so much for stopping on by. We greatly do appreciate it. And again, thank you to Chad, Sarah, and Scott. And again, we'll see you next week on the Geocaching Podcast. Have a good one, folks. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, folks.